Chapter 304 Wang Qiu'er makes a powerful entrance. Qiu'er was indeed the one who had planned the Holy Ghost Sect's participation in this tournament. However, the Holy Ghost Sect was a sect of evil soul masters, formed by disciples of the Holy Ghost Church. It wouldn't be a good thing if they were allowed to win the tournament. The people would be extremely unhappy. The reason why the Holy Ghost Sect was competing in this tournament was because they were here to deal with the Tang Sect, Shrek Academy, and even the Body Sect, who had yet to reveal themselves. Their main mission was to remove all obstacles for the Sun Moon team. Qiu'er had personally explained this plan to Xiao and Meng Chen. If they met the Holy Ghost Sect in the finals, they would be the champions. Since his words were so obvious, it was very easy to tell what he was suggesting to the both of them. Both Chen siblings knew what Qiu'er expected. Today's match was more important to them than the last tournament. After all, last time, they weren't the core of the Sun Moon team then, even though they had lost to Shrek's team in the finals. They weren't commanding their team, either. However, it was different this time. They were representing the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy, the illustrious Virtue Hall, their grandfather and the entire empire. They couldn't afford to lose today's match. Xiao sat down in the waiting area. Even though he knew that the current Shrek's team didn't consist of the best talents from Shrek Academy, he was still very nervous. Their performances had been only so-so, and they didn't really impress anyone that much. The only person worth taking notice of was their team leader. However, there weren't any Soul Emperors apart from her. Compared to the Tang Sect, their abilities weren't that impressive. However, Xiao's heart felt very heavy today for some reason. It was like how he felt when they faced the Tang Sect. Don't tell me this team is able to threaten us. If we can't even beat a second-rate team, then, as he thought until here, Xiao couldn't help but clench his fist. His fighting spirit soared. Elder brother, calm down, Meng said to him. Okay. Xiao took a look at his younger sister. This time, Wang wasn't their competitor anymore. Meng was indeed very normal. Younger sister, let's do our best today. We must win today. Meng smiled. She was much more confident than Xiao. Elder brother, this is only Shrek's second string team. Don't worry, we'll win for sure. The resting area. Ever since Wang Qiu'er had left, Qiu'er had started to ponder a lot. He suddenly raised his head and said, I understand now. Wang was puzzled as she looked at him and asked, what do you understand? Qiu'er said, I know why Qiu'er came up with this lineup. Brilliant. The Sun Moon team is definitely in trouble today. Wang gently strangled him and said, can you not be so mysterious? Qiu'er chuckled and replied, if you let me kiss you, I'll reveal everything. Wang rolled her eyes. It's fine if you don't want to tell me, but be careful tonight. Qiu'er snapped, what are you going to do tonight? You are not even accompanying me to sleep now. Don't tell me you were going to chase a cripple off the bed. Humph. Wang came up with a scheme and revealed a captivating smile on her face. If you can guess what I'm going to do, I'll sleep with you tonight. Really? Qiu'er was delighted. Of course not. Even if you don't tell me, I can watch and find out. Wang attitude suddenly changed completely, and Qiu'er didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She was becoming more and more like a little witch. I regret this. Why did I let her regain her conscience? However, I kind of enjoy this feeling. Let's see. Wang Qiu'er will be the first in the individual elimination round. Qiu'er said so softly that only Wang and the rest of the people from the Tang Sect could hear him. Wang Qiu'er will be the first to fight. Everyone was confused. It didn't make sense. With Wang Qiu'er's status as the team leader, she should be the one holding the fort. Just as they were full of doubts, Wang Qiu'er had already leapt up onto the stage and walked towards the center. On the other side, a tall and large youth from the Sun Moon team also jumped up onto the stage. He hadn't appeared when they had fought Tang Sect. Evidently, he was one of the substitutes. It's indeed Wang Qiu'er. You are brilliant. Xiao couldn't help but exclaim. Qiu'er had an epiphany. I understand too. In fact, Qiu'er should be the first to fight. It wasn't just him who had realized what was going on. Hikaitu's eyes also had a look of revelation as he smiled. It was just that he didn't utter a sound at all. Hikaitu and Qiu'er were already among the top 6 in the underground tournament. In the next round, the top 3 would be decided. It was tonight. If they made the top 3, they could represent the Dustwater Alliance in the finals of the tournament between the 3 different organizations. They had earned quite a lot of money in the first few rounds of the tournament. It was a pity, however, that they had only obtained some rare medals. While they had several million gold soul coins, they were useless if they couldn't be used to purchase rare medals. Number 96 and 98 were also in the top 6. Qiu'er or Hikaitu would face at least one of them. Qiu'er had met Dalu again, but he hadn't revealed his true identity. He was making Dalu wait patiently. Qiu'er would only bring him back after the tournament ended. He wouldn't be afraid to reveal his true identity then. Shrek's team versus the Sun Moon team. First fight of the individual elimination round. Both parties, please report your names. The referee for today was still the unbreakable Douluo, as he was very fair and left many competing teams satisfied. This titled Douluo and Class 9 Soul Engineer personally refereed some of the more important fights. Undoubtedly, there was no fight as important as the one between Shrek's team and the Sun Moon team. Zhang was also troubled as he looked at the members from both sides. He knew about the enmity between Shrek's team and the Sun Moon team. This was a life and death battle. Neither party could afford to lose this match. Shrek, Wang Qiu'er was still wearing a veil. Her powdery blue hair flowed behind her back. Although her appearance couldn't be seen, her large, beautiful eyes, as well as her captivating figure, still left a deep impression in everyone's minds. Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy, while he was very tall and large, he didn't have much flesh on him. He gave everyone the impression that he was a bag of bones. There was even a weird sense of eeriness about him. Both parties, please step back and prepare for the match. Zhang instructed. He even skipped the part where he was supposed to ask both parties not to hurt the other party. He knew it was futile. Wang Qiu'er turned around and walked to her position, and Yi Kanchang did the same. Wang Qiu'er stood at her position and watched her opponent. She squinted and revealed a dim, mysterious light in her eyes. Yi Kanchang was also staring at her. However, he was smirking. His mouth suddenly enlarged, and he grinned so widely that his lips almost reached his ears. He revealed white teeth and blood-red gums. It was an awful scene. If it was any ordinary lady, she would have screamed in fear. However, Wang Qiu'er looked very calm. Zhang lifted his right hand up high and looked at both parties before shouting, "Match, start." Wang Qiu'er immediately moved when Zhang announced the start of the fight. Everyone heard a muffled sound coming from the stage. The soundproofing barriers around the stage were unidirectional. The noises from outside couldn't be heard inside, but the noises from the inside could be heard on the outside. Wang Qiu'er burst forward like a golden cannon shell as the muffled sound reverberated out. Wang Qiu'er was very ferocious in the earlier rounds, but she hadn't gone too overboard. However, she revealed a different aura today. Yi Kanchang didn't delay either. 2 yellow and 3 purple soul rings rose from his feet. Following this, a black light flashed on his body. A black figure separated from his body and appeared in front of him. However, his soul rings were still on his body. It was a black skeleton with an eerie aura. It had the same figure as Yi Kanchang. As Yi Kanchang's first soul ring shone, the skeleton doubled in size. Its bones also became thicker. This was Yi Kanchang's martial soul, skeleton. It was a skeleton that used his body as a blueprint. It was a very special existence. As a soul engineer, he didn't need to lift any heavy weapons. He could just rely on his skeleton. That was why he could handle a much heavier weight in a fight, at least a few times greater than a normal soul engineer. This wasn't considered very useful for a soul master, but it was very practical for a soul engineer. However, his opponent today was Wang Qiu'er. After Yi Kanchang unleashed his first soul skill, skeleton expansion, Wang Qiu'er had already arrived in front of him. With the terrifying strength that Wang Qiu'er possessed, she could easily slide 100 meters through the air. A huge golden fist hurtled toward Yi Kanchang's head. A dangerous gust of wind swept towards his face. Yi Kanchang only felt an uncomfortable feeling in his chest before golden lights shone brightly in front of him. What's this rhythm? It's too quick. Isn't she supposed to be an assault-type soul master? Why is she faster than an agility-type soul master? Yi Kanchang subconsciously ordered his skeleton to block his body. A pair of thick skeletal palms clawed towards Wang Qiu'er's fist. Dodge! Was that even Wang Qiu'er's style? Dream on. Boom. Her fist crashed against the skeletal claws. The skeleton wanted to shut its claws, but it couldn't do so. Cracks started to appear on its hands, and extended from the finger joints down towards the wrist. Wang Qiu'er made a half turn in the air, and her right leg chopped down like a whip. She can't be so quick. Yi Qianzhang almost spat out blood. His skeleton wasn't something that he summoned, but his martial soul. Since his martial soul was injured, he also suffered from the backlash. He didn't even manage to retrieve a soul cannon before Wang Qiu'er's leg came crashing down. This time, Yi Qianzhang learned from his earlier mistake and quickly retracted his martial soul. The broken right hand of his skeleton disappeared. Wang Qiu'er's leg struck nothing, but it generated a gust of wind. This gust of wind seemed like a raging tornado in a mountain valley on a chilly winter night. Yi Qianzhang's shirt was drenched with cold sweat in just a short span of time. Even as her leg struck nothing, Wang Qiu'er didn't retract her power. She directly struck the ground and used the momentum to bounce back up. She aimed her left knee toward Yi Qianzhang's chest. Yi Qianzhang was so depressed right now that he wanted to die. He was a soul engineer. It was a bad thing to be so close to a soul master. Moreover, his opponent was Wang Qiu'er. He wanted to scream and beg her to give him a chance. Would she do so? Yes. But in his next life, a layer of golden light rose from his body as he used his invincible barrier to protect himself. Bang! The golden light from the invincible barrier undulated slightly, and Yi Qianzhang was scared pale. Was she really going to destroy his invincible barrier, too? Beneath the stage, Xiao Hingzhen was already so furious that he had stood up. He could tell that Yi Qianzhang had been completely suppressed, including his fighting spirit. He no longer had any chance of victory. Yi Qianzhang was still struggling to stay in the fight. However, he quickly unleashed his skeleton again. Although it was without one hand, it was still equipped with its soul tools. As he released his martial soul, and it prepared its soul tools in turn, Wang Qiu'er was attacking the invincible barrier like she was pounding a sandbag. The invincible barrier wasn't completely invincible, as it depleted his soul power. It was very useful if he wanted to save his own life, but it wasn't as good as a protective barrier for defensive purposes. It definitely wasn't the best choice for him to use it immediately the moment he fought Wang Qiu'er. He unleashed his first soul cannon. Yi Qianzhang chose the most explosive, high-powered cannon shell. He only had one goal, to force Wang Qiu'er away so that he could have some space to demonstrate his abilities. He was on the brink of tears as he felt his soul power depleting. However, what could he do? He could only try his best to deplete her soul power as well. Boom. A ball of intense golden light was emitted from Wang Qiu'er's body. After that, the high-powered cannon shell blew apart. She blew apart the cannon shell with her fist. It exploded very close to her, and she was indeed forced back. However, the explosive force also affected the invincible barrier. Yi Qianzhang felt his soul power dropping again. After that, he saw Wang Qiu'er returning. Furthermore, the effect of his invincible barrier was about to end. This time, he saw another streak of golden light in Wang Qiu'er's hand. Following this, the streak of golden light pierced through the invincible barrier. The golden light caused the barrier to be destroyed, and Yi Qianzhang felt his soul power extended completely. Zhang Zan was monitoring their fight. Just as the invincible barrier was destroyed, he was already in front of the two of them. From the bottom of his heart, he greatly admired Wang Qiu'er's violent fighting style. Brilliant. She completely disoriented her opponent the moment she struck. It was a pity that her opponent represented the Sun Moon Empire. There was likely to be a team fight after this. As the referee, he had to do his best to prevent any bloodshed. He struck his palm against the golden light, but he didn't use too much force. After all, he was a titled Douluo, and couldn't overly affect the proceedings. If he depleted Wang Qiu'er's abilities too much, it would be very unfair to Shrek's team. However, he quickly retracted his hand when his palm contacted the golden dragon spear. He was horrified. He felt the flesh on his palm dissolving when he touched the spear. Although he used his soul power to stop this feeling, he was still stunned. His palm was still effective. After all, the spear was struck by the palm of a titled Douluo. However, it still managed to pierce through Yi Qianzhang's shoulder. When Yi Qianzhang saw Zhang Zan, he felt very relieved. Referee, you came at the right time. However, his entire body stiffened when the spear stabbed through his shoulder. His soul power was completely depleted after he had suffered Wang Qiu'er's series of attacks. He didn't have any excess soul power to resist the power of the golden dragon spear. By the time Zhang Zan reacted and pulled Yi Qianzhang away, his entire chest cavity had already caved in. There wasn't a drop of blood on the spear, but golden lights kept on surging towards Wang Qiu'er, devouring. The life devouring of the golden dragon spear, the life power that she drained replenished her body. Although it didn't really help to restore her soul power, it was very effective at restoring her energy. Throughout the entire fight, Wang Qiu'er had relied on her ultimate strength. Zhang Zan glared furiously at Wang Qiu'er. However, Wang Qiu'er didn't even look at him. She turned around and walked towards the center of the stage. Everyone from the Sun Moon team stood up. Someone had just died again. Yi Qianzhang's abilities weren't ordinary. However, he was only able to release a single high-powered cannon shell. Meng Hengchen jumped onto the stage. They couldn't be depleted any further. Otherwise, they were going to be like the Tang Sect, with insufficient members to compete. If that happened, how were they going to fight in the team round? Meng Hengchen was about to become the second competing member of the Sun Moon team. The Hengchen siblings had already planned it out. Yi Qianzhang would be the first to compete, and he would test their opponent's abilities. If the opponent was too strong, Meng Hengchen would be the next to fight. They couldn't allow their opponents to deplete them any further. Meng Hengchen turned tense as she looked at Wang Qiu'er. It was evident that she had also been holding back in the earlier rounds. Otherwise, she couldn't possibly defeat an elite class 5 soul engineer of the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy in such a short span of time. Even if she was a 6-ring soul emperor, Wang Qiu'er's gaze was still as sharp as ever. It wasn't any different from before. Her face wasn't red, and she wasn't panting. It looked like she hadn't fought at all. She grabbed the center of her golden dragon spear. The tip of it pointed diagonally towards the ground. She was so icy calm that she seemed like a statue. This was the golden dragon lady in her peak state. Her terrifying explosiveness had once defeated Ji Juikin in one strike. How strong was she? Without having any understanding of her, it wasn't possible for Yi Qianzhang to resist her attacks. Even as Zhang Zan intervened, he still died under the hands of the golden dragon spear. Qiu'er revealed an icy, divine light in his eyes. He folded his hands in front of his chest as he watched the fight. He knew that his guess was right. The individual elimination round was a great opportunity for every member of the team to demonstrate his or her abilities. However, the individual elimination round couldn't decide the final outcome unless one team could defeat all 7 members of the other team with at most 2 members. More often than not, the individual elimination round was used to deplete the opponent's abilities so as to gain an advantage in the team round. When Qiu'er saw Wang Qiu'er picking Lan Susu and Lan Luoluo to enter the waiting area, he knew that Wang Qiu'er was completely aware that she couldn't defeat the entire Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy on her own. Their only chance was in the team round. Qiu'er's guess was verified. Why did Wang Qiu'er go first? If she managed to beat 3 consecutive opponents, she had the right to ask for the team round to start and give up on the rest of the individual fights. With her dominant abilities, she could deplete her opponent's abilities yet conserve her own fighting strength. In this way, Shrek's team would have a greater chance of winning, since they had Qiu'er and Zhu Lu, as well as the Lan sisters, who all possessed martial soul fusion skills. This was undoubtedly the best strategy. Qiu'er couldn't think of a better strategy for Shrek's team. However, Wang Qiu'er had to take on a lot of pressure if they used such a strategy. Not only did she have to fight 3 people in one shot, but she still had to lead the entire team in the team round. From the start until the end, she would be under a lot of pressure. Could she handle it? The Sun Moon team didn't repeat their mistakes against the Tang Sect. They sent Meng Hengchen in the second individual elimination round. This individual round might have a great impact on the entire tournament. Everyone from the Tang Sect sat up straight and silently waited for this fight to begin. Not only did Wang Qiu'er have to defeat Meng Hengchen, but she had to defeat her completely. It wouldn't be easy. Match. Start. Zhang Zan's expression was dismal as he announced the start of the second individual round. Even though he was a titled Douluo, he couldn't stop a soul emperor from killing someone. This was a humiliation to him. Meng Hengchen immediately moved after Zhang Zan shouted. Learning from her previous lesson, she didn't immediately unleash her close combat soul tool. Instead, she unleashed her martial soul. A layer of peculiar-looking icy blue engulfed her entire body. Her 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 2 black soul rings suddenly lit up, revealing her cultivation as a soul emperor. All the spectators cheered when they saw her 6 soul rings. Previously, Wang Qiu'er had shown how dominant she was. Her aura was so suppressive that the spectators couldn't catch their breath. Right now, Meng Hengchen showed that she wasn't inferior to Wang Qiu'er and managed to release everyone from Wang Qiu'er's domination. Meng Hengchen's first and second soul rings shrunk concurrently, and an icy blue ring suddenly spread from Meng Hengchen's feet. She had already made her mind up. Isn't your attack very strong? strong? All right, I shall use my defense to slowly wear you down. No matter what, you'll enter the domain of my ice venom ring. No matter how strong you are, you'll still be poisoned if you don't have the ultimate ice like Qiu'er. Even if I can't beat you in this round, you'll be unable to fight in the team round once my vermilion Qiu'er stodes poison axe up in your body. When that happens, the Sun Moon team will win. Meng Qingchen was very clear-headed against someone like Wang Qiu'er, who was very adept at close combat. She was the best weapon against her. However, Meng Qingchen and even Zhang Zan were stunned when Wang Qiu'er didn't initiate an attack. As a close combat soul master, she didn't intend to advance. She took a step with her left foot, and her upper body made a half turn. She lifted her golden dragon spear to her shoulder with her right hand and stretched it out. Meng Qingchen suddenly felt an indescribable and terrifying aura around her body. When she looked at Wang Qiu'er again, she saw Wang Qiu'er's eyes glowing strangely, and her entire person turned blurry. The two tips of her spear were emitting blinding golden lights. The golden lights even condensed to form sparks that appeared extremely threatening. Wang Qiu'er's entire body started to emit blinding golden lights. A layer of golden scales spread from her spear and extended throughout her entire body. Very soon, the scales engulfed every part of her body except her face. Of her 6 soul rings, the first 2 were shining brightly. Among all the spectators, only Qiu'er knew what they were. They were Wang Qiu'er's first soul skill, golden dragon body, and her second soul skill, dragon strength. Not only this, but Qiu'er also knew that Wang Qiu'er had activated an innate ability of her golden dragon, the golden dragon's pride. She had raised the terrifying strength of her golden dragon to its limit, and even activated her golden dragon's perception. Qiu'er used his great spiritual power to sense everything that was going on, and discovered that there was a line connecting Wang Qiu'er and Meng Qingchen at this point. Wang Qiu'er was like a volcano that was about to erupt right now. Her entire body was covered in intense golden sparks. As the sparks grew more and more intense, her body was slowly being concealed by them. The golden sparks slowly consolidated to form the appearance of a huge golden dragon head. This golden dragon head let out terrifying roars. Even though the entire Sun Moon team knew that Shrek's team leader was extremely strong, they hadn't expected her to be this strong. Wang Qiu'er's abilities were beyond what Meng Qingchen had imagined. She only felt that she had trouble breathing now, as if her entire body was being restrained by a tough yet invisible string. The terrifying feeling made her extremely breathless. It was like Wang Qiu'er's spear was going to penetrate through her body in the next moment. She didn't hesitate any further. She quickly ended her first 2 soul skills, and an icy blue suit of armor quickly covered her body. Her entire body was under the protection of this armor. This time, it wasn't a weapon that appeared in her hands. It was an icy blue shield. It was at least a class 6 or greater soul tool. Meng Qingchen felt slightly better for a moment, but she was horrified to discover that the golden dragon head formed by the sparks on Wang Qiu'er's body was about to change into a true golden dragon. She had been given too much time to accumulate her power. Meng Qingchen made the wrong call because of what had happened in the last round. She knew why she had made a mistake. This Wang Qiu'er was simply too cunning. She isn't just strong, she even knew what I was thinking. Meng Qingchen clenched her teeth, as she knew that Wang Qiu'er had almost finished accumulating her power. Once she erupted, it was bound to be a lethal attack. Even Zhang Zan was starting to get nervous. He wondered what effect Wang Qiu'er's attack would bring about. The strength unleashed by the golden dragon spear frightened him. Was it the kind of power that a soul emperor could unleash? Her spear wasn't any form of soul tool, but its strength wasn't lower than a class 8 soul tool. No wonder Shrek Academy was the top academy in the world. A low-pitched dragon roar sounded out, and the huge dragon head finally rose. The dazzling golden light formed its body, and its terrifying aura made everyone shudder. Meng Qingchen took in a deep breath, and layer upon layer of icy blue light started to rise from her body. However, they looked very insignificant compared to the glorious and terrifying gold from Wang Qiu'er. This was Wang Qiu'er's true ability. Wang Dong'er twisted her head to look at Qiu'er. She discovered that Qiu'er was watching very intently, but he wasn't worried at all. He was only relieved. Humph. Are you happy to see Qiu'er so strong? Wang Dong'er asked softly. Yes. Qiu'er subconsciously answered. However, he soon realized something wasn't right, and quickly added, I'm happy for Shrek that Qiu'er is so strong. It seems like they really have a chance today. I only hope that the referee will let them clash this one time. Qiu'er's accumulation is simply too scary. A streak of golden light shot out just when the dragon roar was at its most resounding state. The huge golden dragon that had already risen into the air chased after the streak of golden light, and a terrifying golden glow instantly illuminated the entire stage. There was only one target. I concede defeat. An unexpected scene occurred. Meng Qingchen grabbed her head with both her hands and quickly squatted down. At the same time, she activated her invincible barrier. As she screamed at the top of her voice, it was loud enough that she could break all the windows of a house if she were close enough. Zhang Zan was extremely tense. After hearing her scream, he acted immediately. A white barrier rose up and tried to stop the golden dragon spear. However, the streak of golden light was too strong and instantly pierced through the barrier. Its speed didn't decrease, and it continued to shoot forward. The golden dragon that followed behind even tore the barrier to pieces. However, Zhang Zan stood in front of Meng Qingchen as it did. He formed a ring with both his hands in front of his chest, and a white shield appeared in the space before him. When the streak of golden light was less than 3 feet from this shield, a hissing sound suddenly echoed through the air. Huge patches of distorted light started to spread with the shield as the center. When the golden dragon sensed this, a terrifying roar sounded again. The entire stage became a frightening world where white and gold intersected. Jing Hengchen couldn't remain seated anymore. He stood up suddenly and watched the fight anxiously. His expression changed. How's this possible? How can Shrek Academy have such a strong competing member? He didn't know how strong Wang Qiu'er's golden dragon spear was. However, he was very familiar with Zhang Zan. The first barrier that Zhang Zan enacted was a class 7 defensive type soul tool. It was strong and extremely resilient. It was a type of barrier that only Zhang Zan possessed, that could resist any weapons that were flung at it. However, that class 7 soul tool could only briefly stop Wang Qiu'er's attack before it was crushed. Right now, Zhang Zan was using an extremely strong soul tool that he had relied on to become famous. The divine unbreakable shield. It was a class 9 soul tool, but from the looks of it, it didn't seem like the shield had gained the upper hand. In terms of quality, it didn't seem to be better than Wang Qiu'er's streak of golden light and the golden dragon that accompanied it. Meng Qingchen's face was very pale right now. She knew that if she hadn't chosen to concede defeat, she would have faced this horrifying Shrek. Not only would she have been killed, she would have been obliterated. The clash between gold and white lasted for a few moments before things died down. The streak of golden light also slowly revealed its original form. Wang Qiu'er's golden dragon spear. Wang Qiu'er was still standing where she was, and as the light faded, her figure was slowly revealed. As she moved her right hand, the spear turned into a streak of flowing light and returned to her palm. Her golden scales also faded away. Zhang Zan heaved a sigh of relief and lowered his head to look at the divine unbreakable shield. He was horrified to find a slight indentation in the center of the shield. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.